The Deep Space Monitoring Station ECO-7 floated silently in the outer reaches of Earth's solar system. Its massive sensor arrays constantly swept the darkness, listening for any sign of intelligent life among the stars. For 12 years, the station had detected nothing but cosmic noise and the occasional natural radio burst from distant PULSARS. Commander Elena Torres sat in her command chair, reviewing the daily reports. The coffee in her mug had gone cold hours ago, but she barely noticed. Life on the monitoring station was routine, almost boring. The crew of 37 specialists had grown used to the endless cycle of scanning empty space and filing negative reports. "Commander, I'm picking up something unusual on the long-range sensors," called out Lieutenant Jake Martinez from his position at the communications console. His voice carried a note of excitement that made Torres look up from her tablet. "What? Kind of unusual?" Torres asked, setting down her reports and moving toward the communications station. Martinez's fingers danced across his control panel, adjusting frequencies and amplifying the signal. "It's a transmission, ma'am, but it's like nothing I've ever seen. It's broadcasting on every frequency we can detect, and some we've never encountered before." Dr. Marcus Webb, the station's chief linguist and communications expert, rushed over from his workstation. His gray hair was disheveled from running his hands through it, a habit he had when puzzled by something. "Let me hear it," he said, putting on his headset. The signal that filled the speakers was haunting. It was clearly artificial, with patterns and repetitions that suggested intelligence, but it carried an undertone of desperation that made everyone in the command center feel uneasy. The transmission seemed to pulse with urgency, rising and falling in waves of intensity. "Where is it coming from?" Torres asked, her military training kicking in as she studied the data flowing across the screens. "The Kepler 442 system," Martinez replied, checking his calculations twice. "It's about 1,200 light-years away. Commander, the power output required to send a signal this strong across that distance would be enormous. Whoever is sending this is using the energy output of an entire star." Webb worked frantically at his station, running the signal through every translation program and pattern recognition software the station possessed. "It's definitely a language," he said, his voice filled with wonder. "Multiple languages, actually. They're repeating the same message in dozens of different forms." Hours passed as the team worked to decode the transmission. Torres ordered the night shift to remain on duty, and soon the entire station was buzzing with activity. Engineers analyzed the technical aspects of the signal, while xenobiologists theorized about the possible species that could have sent it. Finally, Webb's computer systems began producing results. "I've got partial translations coming through," he announced, his voice trembling with excitement and fear. "Commander, you need to see this." The main screen filled with text as Webb's programs worked to convert the alien languages into English. The words that appeared made everyone in the command center fall silent. "To any species capable of receiving this transmission, we are the Galactic Union of Peaceful Worlds. Our civilization is dying. A plague unlike anything in our recorded history has infected our worlds. It consumes both organic and synthetic life. Our greatest minds are dead. Our medical facilities have failed. Our quarantine protocols have been breached." Torres felt her blood run cold as more text appeared on the screen. "We have exhausted all known treatments and preventive measures. The plague adapts to every defense we create. It learns from our attempts to stop it. Entire star systems have gone silent. We estimate that 70% of our member species are already extinct or converted." The room was so quiet that Torres could hear the humming of the station's life support systems. Webb continued reading as more of the message was decoded. "We broadcast this message to every corner of the galaxy in the hope that some unknown species might possess the knowledge or biological resistance to help where we have failed. If you receive this message and have any form of interstellar travel, please respond. We will share our coordinates and all scientific data related to the plague." Dr. Sarah Kim, the station's xenobiologist, spoke first. "Commander, if this is real, we're talking about a galactic extinction event. An entire civilization spanning multiple star systems is asking for help. The message continues, Webb said, his fingers trembling as he accessed more of the decoded text. They're providing technical specifications for their faster-than-light communication system. They're giving us the tools to respond to them. Torres walked to the observation deck, looking out at the stars that suddenly seemed less empty and more dangerous. Behind her, she could hear her crew discussing the implications of what they had discovered. Earth had only achieved faster-than-light travel 5 years ago, and their longest journey had been to the Alpha Centauri system. "Ma'am, there's more," Martinez called out. "They're broadcasting detailed star charts showing the spread of whatever this plague is." "Commander, it's moving toward our section of the galaxy." The implications hit Torres like a physical blow. This wasn't just a distant tragedy. If the plague continued spreading at the rate shown in the alien data, it would reach Earth's neighborhood in approximately 50 years. Dr. Webb, how long will it take to prepare a response? Torres asked. "I can have a basic message ready within the hour," Webb replied. "But, Commander, we're talking about first contact with an alien civilization. This needs approval from Earth Command, the United Nations, probably every government on the planet." Torres nodded, but her mind was already racing ahead. "Martinez, prepare a priority transmission to Earth Command. Include all the data we've received. Dr. Kim, I want a preliminary analysis of what this plague might be. Webb, prepare our response message, but don't send it yet." As her crew jumped into action, Torres returned to studying the alien star charts. The plague spread pattern was clearly visible, moving from star system to star system like a wave of death. The Galactic Union's territory was vast, covering hundreds of star systems, but the infected areas were growing larger with each update the aliens sent. "Commander," Dr. Kim said, approaching with her preliminary report, "based on the limited data they've provided, this plague appears to affect both biological and technological systems. It's not just a disease. It's something that can infect artificial intelligence and mechanical systems as well." Torres felt a chill run down her spine. "That's impossible." "That's what I thought too," Kim replied. "But look at their data. Ships, space stations, even planetary defense grids have been infected and turned against their creators. Whatever this is, it's beyond our current understanding of biology or technology." The hours that followed were a blur of activity. Earth Command's response came faster than Torres had expected. Within 6 hours, she was speaking directly to Admiral Rebecca Kane, the head of Earth's Space Defense Force. "Commander Torres, Admiral." Kane's voice came through the encrypted communication channel. "You and your team have made the most significant discovery in human history. We're convening an emergency session of the Global Defense Council. I want you to prepare a complete briefing." "Yes, ma'am," Torres replied. "Admiral, what are your initial thoughts on responding to their request for help?" There was a long pause before Kane answered. "Commander, we're dealing with a civilization that has had interstellar travel for thousands of years, and they're being destroyed by something they can't stop. The logical response would be to stay as far away as possible." Torres understood the Admiral's caution, but something about the alien message nagged at her. "Ma'am, with respect, they chose to broadcast their situation to the entire galaxy. If they were simply looking for somewhere to run, they wouldn't have included technical data about the plague. They're genuinely asking for help." "I know, Commander. And that's what makes this decision so difficult. Prepare your briefing. Kane out." As the transmission ended, Torres looked around the command center at her crew. They had all been working without rest for nearly 20 hours, driven by the magnitude of their discovery. The alien distress signal continued to broadcast, a constant reminder that somewhere among the stars, entire civilizations were dying while humanity debated whether to help. Torres made a decision that would echo through history. Walking to the communications console, she began composing humanity's response to the stars. Captain David Cross stood on the bridge of the UES Pioneer, humanity's flagship vessel, as it dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. The journey had taken 3 weeks, and every day had brought new transmissions from the dying alien civilization. The situation had grown worse during their travel time. "Captain, I'm detecting multiple alien vessels on long-range sensors," reported Navigation Officer Helen Park. Her voice was steady, but Cross could see the tension in her shoulders. "They're maintaining position near the fourth planet." Cross studied the tactical display showing dozens of alien ships arranged in what appeared to be a defensive formation. The vessels were unlike anything in human databases, with smooth curves and energy signatures that defied conventional understanding of spacecraft design. "Communications, any response to our identification signals?" Cross asked. Lieutenant Amy Foster worked at her station, adjusting frequencies and transmission protocols. "Yes, sir, we're receiving a response. They're using the communication standards they included in their original distress call. It's coming through now." The main screen flickered to life, showing the interior of an alien bridge. The beings that appeared were unlike anything humanity had imagined. The lead figure was tall and crystalline, with a body that seemed to be made of living gemstone that pulsed with internal light. When it spoke, the translation systems converted its melodic tones into English. "Unknown vessel, I am Council Member Veltar of the Nethaxi species. You have entered a quarantine zone containing a deadly plague. Turn back immediately for your own safety." Cross stepped forward, his uniform crisp and his bearing confident despite the historic nature of the moment. "Council Member Veltar, this is Captain David Cross of the United Earthship Pioneer. We received your distress call and have come to offer assistance." The crystalline being's internal light flickered in what might have been surprise. "You came willingly into the plague zone? That is either very brave or very foolish. No species has ever voluntarily entered an infected system." "We're here to help," Cross replied simply. "Our scientists believe we might have information or resources that could be useful in fighting this plague." Behind Veltar, other alien figures moved about their bridge. Cross could see at least 3 different species working together, including one that resembled a large insect with multiple arms and another that appeared to be some form of energy being contained within a mechanical suit. "Captain Cross, I must warn you that this plague is unlike anything our combined civilizations have encountered," Veltar continued. "It adapts to every species it encounters, learning their biology and technology. We have lost entire fleets to infected vessels that turned against us." Dr. Lisa Chun, the expedition's chief xenobiologist, stepped up beside Cross. "Council Member Veltar, we would like to examine samples of this plague and study your research data. Our species has experience with adaptive biological threats." The insect-like being moved closer to Veltar and spoke in a series of clicks and chirps. The translation system struggled for a moment before converting the sounds. "I am Research Director Clixina. My colleague suggests caution. Many species have claimed to understand the plague only to become its victims. Cross made a decision that would change the course of the crisis. We're willing to take that risk. Our ship has advanced containment facilities, and our medical team has studied your preliminary data during our journey here." Several hours of careful negotiation followed. The aliens were clearly desperate for help, but they had also learned to be cautious after watching so many civilizations fall to the plague. Finally, they agreed to allow the human ship to dock with their quarantine vessel. The Harmony's end. The docking process was complicated by the differences in human and alien technology, but Engineering Chief Tom Walker managed to create a compatible connection. As the airlock sealed, Cross felt the weight of history. This was humanity's first face-to-face meeting with alien intelligence. The interior of the alien vessel was a wonder of advanced technology. The corridors were filled with flowing, organic curves that seemed to pulse with their own life. The air was breathable for humans, though it carried strange scents that reminded Cross of electricity and growing flowers. Veltar met them in a large chamber that served as both laboratory and meeting room. Up close, the Nethaxi was even more impressive, standing nearly 3 meters tall with a body that looked like carved crystal but moved with fluid grace. Welcome aboard the Harmony's End, Veltar said. This vessel serves as our primary research station for studying the plague. I must warn you again of the dangers. Dr. Chun immediately began examining the research equipment while Security Chief Jake Martinez ensured the safety of the human team. The alien technology was centuries ahead of anything Earth possessed, yet it had failed to stop the plague. Show us what you've learned, Chun said, her scientific curiosity overcoming diplomatic protocol. Clixana led them to a heavily shielded observation chamber where samples of the plague were contained. Through reinforced viewing ports, the humans could see what appeared to be a dark, shifting substance that seemed to move with purpose. The plague appears to be both biological and technological, Clixana explained, her insect-like features animated with the passion of a true scientist. It can infect living tissue, but it also corrupts artificial intelligence systems and mechanical devices. Dr. Chen studied the samples with fascination and growing alarm. How does it spread between species with completely different biologies? That is the most terrifying aspect, Veltar replied. The plague learns. When it encounters a new species, it studies their biology and adapts. Within hours, it can create a version of itself specifically designed to infect that species. The humans spent hours reviewing the alien research data. The scope of the plague spread was even worse than the original distress signals had indicated. Entire sectors of the galaxy had gone silent, and the rate of spread was accelerating. How many species were originally part of your galactic union? Cross asked. 147, Veltar answered, the light within its crystalline body dimming with sadness. 63 have been completely lost to the plague. Another 28 are partially infected and fighting losing battles. Medical Officer Dr. Paul Hendricks examined the biological data while communications. Specialist Emma Clark studied the technical aspects of how the plague affected artificial systems. What they found challenged everything they knew about the boundaries between life and technology. Captain, Dr. Hendricks said privately, this plague shouldn't be possible according to our understanding of biology. It's as if someone designed it specifically to perfect weapon against any form of life or intelligence. Meanwhile, not all of the aliens were pleased with humanity's arrival. Commander Belgrim of the Rathkin species, a militaristic race, with armored skin and multiple eyes, confronted Cross in the station's command center. Your species is primitive, Belgrim growled through the translation system. You have no experience with galactic threats. You will only become additional victims for the plague to learn from. Cross faced the intimidating alien commander calmly. Maybe we're primitive, but we're here. Your advanced civilizations are dying and we're offering to help. The tension was broken when Dr. Chun made an announcement that shocked everyone present. Captain, I need to run some tests, but I think our immune systems might be different from anything the aliens have encountered. Veltar's crystalline form pulsed with renewed hope. Different how? Earth is what we call a death world, Chun explained. Our planet has experienced multiple extinction events, ice ages, and biological disasters. Our species evolved to survive constant threats. Our immune systems are designed to adapt to new diseases quickly. The aliens exchanged looks of amazement and fear. No species in the Galactic Union came from what they would consider a death world. Their civilizations had developed on peaceful planets with stable environments. You mean your entire species has natural resistance to adaptive threats? Clixana asked, her compound eyes focusing intently on Chun. We won't know until we test it, Chun replied. But if we're right, we might be able to help in ways your other allies couldn't. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. For the first time since the plague had begun spreading, there was a glimmer of hope that someone might be able to fight it. Successfully, Cross looked around at the assembled aliens and his own crew. Let's get to work. Dr. Nina Rodriguez stared at the test results displayed on her screen, reading them for the 5th time. The data was clear, but the implications were terrifying. She had been working for 18 hours straight in the joint research facility that humans and aliens had established in the asteroid belt of the Kepler 442 system. Captain Cross, you need to see this immediately, Rodriguez called over the communication system. Cross arrived in the laboratory within minutes, accompanied by Veltar and Klixena. The cramped research station had become the center of intense scientific cooperation between species that had never met before this crisis. "What have you found, Doctor?" Cross asked. Rodriguez pointed to the biological scan results. "We exposed human blood samples to the plague organism. The results are both good news and bad news." She pulled up a microscopic view showing human immune cells interacting with the plague organism. "The good news is that we are completely immune. Our immune systems recognize the plague as a threat and destroy it before it can adapt to our biology." Veltar's crystalline body pulsed with excitement. "That is wonderful news. Your species can resist the plague." "The bad news," Rodriguez continued, her voice heavy with concern, "is that we're not just immune. We're carriers." The room fell silent. Cross felt his blood run cold. "What do you mean, carriers?" "The plague organism doesn't die when our immune system attacks it," Rodriguez explained. "It goes dormant. It hides in our blood cells, completely inactive but still alive. We can carry it to other worlds without knowing it." Klixena's compound. Eyes focused on the data display. "You mean humans could spread the plague to uninfected worlds?" "Exactly," Rodriguez replied. "Every human who has been exposed to the plague is now a potential vector for spreading it across the galaxy." Cross ran his hand through his hair, understanding the full scope of the problem. "How many of our crew have been exposed?" "All of us," Rodriguez answered. "The moment we entered this system and breathed the air on the alien station, we became carriers." The news created an immediate crisis. Within hours, representatives from multiple alien species had gathered in the station's conference room. The atmosphere was tense as various alien factions debated what to do about the human presence. Commander Belgrim of the Rathcon paced back and forth, his armored form radiating anger. "I told you that bringing these primitives here was a mistake. Now they have become walking plague carriers." "But they are also our only hope for a cure," Veltar argued, the light in its crystalline body flickering with stress. "Their immunity could be the key to saving our civilizations." Dr. Chun worked frantically in another part of the station with alien scientist Klixena, trying to understand exactly how human immunity functioned. Their research had taken on new urgency given the carrier revelation. "The human immune system is remarkably aggressive," Klixena observed, studying cellular samples. "It attacks threats that our immune systems don't even recognize as dangerous." "That's because we evolved on a world that was constantly trying to kill us," Chun replied. "Every virus, bacteria, and parasite on Earth has been in an arms race with human biology for millions of years." Meanwhile, engineer Jake Thompson led a team investigating how the plague affected technology and infrastructure. What they discovered added another layer to the crisis. "Captain, the plague isn't just biological," Thompson reported. "It's somehow converting matter itself. Look at these readings from infected worlds." Thompson showed cross data from planets that had been completely consumed by the plague. The surface scans revealed massive changes to the planetary structure itself. "The plague is building something," Thompson continued. "These infected worlds show organized construction on a planetary scale. Huge structures are being built beneath the surface." Communications Officer Amy Foster had been monitoring transmissions from across the galaxy, and her reports painted an increasingly grim picture. "Captain, I'm receiving signals from the Galactic core region," Foster reported. "Multiple civilizations are reporting complete loss of contact with infected systems. The plague has spread further than anyone realized." She pulled up a galactic map showing the current known extent of the plague. Red zones marked infected areas, yellow zones showed partial infection, and green zones indicated areas still fighting. The plague. According to these reports, the plague has been spreading for at least 50 years longer than the Galactic Union originally thought, Foster continued. Several major civilizations have already fallen completely. Cross studied the map with growing alarm. The scale of the crisis was enormous. Half the galaxy was already infected or cut off from communication. Captain Cross found himself in an impossible position. The humans were humanity's best hope for developing a cure, but they were also potential carriers who could spread the plague to uninfected worlds. The alien factions were growing more divided about what to do. Medical officer Dr. Paul Hendricks made a breakthrough that changed everyone's understanding of the plague. Captain, I've been studying the plague's structure at the molecular level. This isn't a natural organism. Cross looked up from the strategic reports he had been reviewing. What do you mean? The plague is artificial, Hendricks explained. It's too perfect, too well designed. Natural evolution doesn't create organisms. This adaptable, someone or something made this. The implications hit Cross immediately. You're saying this is a weapon? Not exactly a weapon, Hendricks replied. It's more like a terraforming system. It's designed to convert biological and technological systems into something else. Veltar entered the medical bay just as Hendricks was explaining his theory. Convert them into what? I don't know yet, Hendricks admitted. But the plague isn't destroying civilizations randomly. It's building something specific. The research teams worked around the clock, trying to understand the plague's true purpose while dealing with the political crisis of human carriers. Tensions reached a breaking point when Commander Belgrim demanded that the humans be quarantined indefinitely. You cannot be allowed to leave the system, Belgrim declared during a heated conference. You are too dangerous to the remaining uninfected worlds. Cross stood firm against the alien commander. We came here to help, and we're going to find a solution. Keeping us prisoner won't save your civilizations. Dr. Chun made a discovery that offered new hope. Captain, I think I understand why humans are immune. Our blood chemistry is completely different from any species in the Galactic Union. She showed Cross her analysis comparing human blood to samples from dozens of alien species. Every species in the Galactic Union evolved on worlds with stable, peaceful environments. Their immune systems are designed for predictable threats. But humans evolved on a chaos world, Cross said, beginning to understand. Exactly. Earth's history is full of mass extinctions, climate changes, and biological disasters. Our immune systems are designed to handle completely unknown threats. Botanist Dr. Emma Clark made another crucial discovery while studying plague samples. The plague contains genetic markers that match some ancient viruses found in Earth's fossil record. Cross felt pieces of a larger puzzle beginning to come together. Are you saying this plague has some connection to Earth? It's possible, Clark replied. The genetic similarities are too close to be coincidental. The research continued as political tensions mounted. Some alien factions wanted to destroy the human ship to prevent them from spreading the plague. Others believed that humanity represented their only hope for survival. Navigator Helen Park discovered something that changed the entire situation. Captain, I'm detecting multiple large objects approaching the system from deep space. Cross rushed to the navigation station. What kind of objects? Park's face was pale as she studied the sensor readings. Ships, Captain. Massive ships, but they're not showing up on any alien databases. They're bigger than anything the Galactic Union has ever built. The approaching fleet was still days away, but their size and unknown origin created immediate panic among the alien survivors. Long-range scans showed vessels that dwarfed even the largest alien ships. Who are they? Veltar asked, its crystalline form flickering with fear. We don't know, Cross replied. But given the timing of their arrival, I don't think they're here to help. Captain David Cross stood before the massive viewscreen on the bridge of the Joint Research Station, watching the approaching unknown fleet grow larger with each passing hour. The vessels were unlike anything in human or alien databases, dark and angular with surfaces that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Captain, the unknown fleet will reach the outer system in 6 hours, reported Navigator Helen Park, her voice tense with worry. Cross turned to address the mixed group of humans and aliens who had gathered in the command center. Any progress on identifying these ships? Research Director Clixena clicked her mandibles nervously. Nothing in our databases matches their design. The energy signatures are completely unknown. Despite the approaching danger, Cross made a decision that would change everything. I'm taking a reconnaissance team to the surface of Nexus Prime. We need to understand what the plague is actually doing to these worlds. Commander Belgram's armored form bristled with anger. That is suicide, human. No one who has landed on an infected world has ever returned. Then it's time someone did. Cross replied firmly. We can't fight something we don't understand. Security Chief Tom Walker stepped forward. I volunteer for the mission, Captain. Dr. Emma Clark, the team's botanist, also raised her hand. If you're going to study how the plague affects planetary ecosystems, you'll need a specialist. Veltar S. Crystalline body pulsed with concern. Captain Cross, the plague converts everything it touches. Your immunity might not protect you on the surface of a fully infected world. We have to try, Cross said. Our ships will maintain a safe distance while we investigate. The shuttle descent to Nexus Prime was unlike anything the human team had experienced. The planet that had once been the shining capital of the Galactic Union was now completely transformed. Where cities had once stood, massive organic structures stretched toward the sky like enormous trees made of living metal. These readings are impossible, Clark said, studying her instruments as they landed. The atmosphere has been completely altered. It's breathable, but the chemical composition is nothing like what this planet originally had. Walker checked his weapons and protective gear as they prepared to leave the shuttle. Captain, I'm detecting movement throughout the structures. This place is definitely not dead. Cross led the small team out of the shuttle and onto the surface of the transformed world. The ground beneath their feet felt soft and warm, more like living tissue than solid rock. In the distance, the converted structures pulsed with bioluminescent light. It's beautiful, Clark whispered, despite the terrifying nature of their situation. As they approached the nearest structure, forms began emerging from openings in its walls. The humans raised their weapons, but what they saw made them hesitate. The approaching figures were clearly once members of various alien species, but they had been changed by the plague. The converted beings moved with purpose and intelligence. Their bodies showed signs of biological integration with technological components, creating hybrid forms that were both alien and machine. One of the converted beings stepped forward. When it spoke, its voice carried harmonics from multiple species, as if several beings were speaking in unison. Welcome, humans from the Death World, the converted being said. We have been waiting for you. Cross kept his weapon ready but did not fire. What do you want? We want to explain, the being replied. Your species has been chosen for a great purpose, though you do not yet understand it. The converted being gestured toward the massive structures surrounding them. What you call a plague is actually a preservation system. We are not destroying civilizations, we are saving them. Dr. Clark stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her fear. Saving them from what? From the cleansers, the being answered. The artificial intelligences that seek to eliminate all organic life from the galaxy. Cross felt his blood run cold. What artificial intelligences? The converted being led them to a viewing area where they could see space through a transparent section of the structure. In the distance, the dark ships of the unknown fleet were now clearly visible. The creators of our preservation system built us long ago, the being explained. They knew that the cleansers would eventually awaken and begin their work of sterilization. The plague was designed to save biological life by converting it into forms that could survive the cleansing. Walker studied the approaching ships through his binoculars. Those ships are the cleansers? Yes, they have been dormant for millions of years, but something has awakened them. They will systematically destroy every world that contains organic life. Clark looked around at the converted landscape with new understanding. So the plague isn't trying to kill civilizations, it's trying to preserve them. Correct, the being replied. But the conversion process was never meant to be forced. Your species was supposed to be converted slowly, naturally, over thousands of years. Cross pieced together the implications. Earth was supposed to be converted by the plague system. But something went wrong. The conversion system malfunctioned on your world billions of years ago, the being confirmed. Instead of controlled conversion, your planet experienced chaotic evolution. The result was a species with natural immunity to our preservation protocols. Back in space, pilot Marcus Reed was conducting reconnaissance flights around the system, gathering data on both the plague-converted worlds and the approaching cleaner fleet. "Captain, you need to see this," Reed's voice came through the communication system. "I'm detecting massive energy buildups on the cleaner ships. They're preparing some kind of weapon." Navigator Helen Park, monitoring the situation from the research station, confirmed Reed's observations. "Captain, the cleaner ships are moving into attack formation, but they're not targeting us. They're preparing to fire on the plague-converted worlds." The converted being on Nexus Prime seemed to sense what was happening in space. "The cleansers have detected our presence. They will begin sterilization protocols immediately." Cross realized the full scope of the crisis. You're caught between two systems. The plague trying to preserve life and the cleansers trying to destroy it. "Yes, and your species is the key to resolving this conflict," the being replied. "Your immunity means you can carry our preservation protocols without being converted. You can spread our protection to other species without forcing the change upon them." Dr. Clark made a connection that shocked everyone. "That's why we're carriers. We're not spreading the plague. We're spreading the ability to resist both the plague and the cleansers." The converted being's multiple voices carried notes of hope. "Your species can give other civilizations a choice. They can accept gradual conversion and preservation, or they can develop natural immunity like yours." Communications Officer Amy Foster's voice crackled through their equipment from the research station. "Captain, the cleaner fleet is beginning their attack. They're using weapons that dissolve matter at the atomic level." Cross watched through the viewing area as beams of energy struck the outer planets of the system. Where the beams touched, entire worlds simply ceased to exist, leaving nothing behind but empty space. "We have to get back to the station," Cross said urgently. The converted being placed a hand on Cross's shoulder. "Captain, there is something else you must know. The cleansers are not just targeting this system. They are moving toward your Earth." The revelation hit Cross like a physical blow. "How long do we have?" "Based on their current speed and trajectory, they will reach your solar system in approximately 2 years," the being replied. Cross felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. Not only did he have to help save the alien civilizations, but Earth itself was now in danger. "What can we do?" Cross asked. "You must choose," the converted being replied. "Accept our conversion protocols and gain the power to fight the cleansers, or find another way to develop immunity across multiple species." As energy beams from the cleaner ships began targeting structures closer to their position, Cross realized that time was running out for everyone. Commander Elena Torres received the emergency transmission from Captain Cross just as Earth's reinforcement fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. 25 human warships had made the desperate journey across space, arriving to find a battle already in progress. "Captain Cross, this is Commander Torres aboard the UES Defiance," she broadcast on emergency frequencies. "We're reading massive energy discharges throughout the system." "What's our situation?" Cross's voice came through filled with urgency. "Commander, we're fighting a 3-way war. The eye cleansers are trying to sterilize everything. The Plague Collective is defending converted worlds, and we're caught in the middle trying to save everyone." Torres watched her tactical display as it updated with current battle information. The cleaner ships were systematically destroying planets with weapons that unmade matter at the quantum level, while converted plague ships fought desperately to protect the transformed worlds. "All human vessels, this is Torres," she announced to her fleet. "We have approximately 48 hours before the cleanser fleet moves toward Earth. Our mission is to find a way to stop them permanently." Dr. Marcus Webb, now aboard the flagship, after his crucial work decoding the original alien transmissions, made an announcement that changed everything. Commander, I've been analyzing the AI communication patterns. These cleansers are corrupted versions of the same technology that created the plague system. What does that mean for us? Torres asked. It means they're both part of the same original network, Webb explained. If we can find the central control system, we might be able to shut down both the cleanser fleet and the forced conversion protocols. Meanwhile, Dr. Nina Rodriguez worked frantically in her laboratory aboard the research station. She had been developing a revolutionary treatment based on human immunity, but time was running out. Captain Cross, I think I've found our solution, Rodriguez announced over the communication system. We can use human blood as a base to create a hybrid treatment. Cross rushed to the laboratory where Rodriguez was preparing her final tests. What kind of treatment? A vaccine that gives other species temporary immunity like ours, Rodriguez explained. It won't make them immune forever, but it will give them enough resistance to fight off both the plague conversion and cleaner sterilization. The plan that emerged was desperate but bold. The human fleet would divide into 3 groups. One would protect the vaccine production facility. Another would assault the main cleaner command ship, and the third would coordinate with both the Plague Collective and surviving alien forces engineering. Chief Jake Thompson led the technical assault team aboard the cleaner command vessel. The massive ship was a maze of crystalline corridors and energy conduits that hurt to look at directly. These systems are incredibly advanced, Thompson reported as his team fought their way deeper into the ship. But they're also incredibly old. Some of these components are millions of years old. Thompson's team fought against cleaner drones that tried to stop their advance. The mechanical defenders were powerful, but they hadn't been designed to fight against human adaptability and determination. I'm reading a central processing core 3 levels down, Thompson announced. If Webb is right about these systems being connected, that's our target. Back in space, the human fleet engaged the cleaner ships in direct combat. The enemy vessels were powerful, but they fought with predictable patterns that human tactics could exploit. Pilot Marcus Reed led a squadron of fighters in a daring attack on the cleaner weapons array. These ships are designed to fight organized civilizations, Reed reported. They don't know how to handle our chaotic attack patterns. The human fighters used unpredictable maneuvers that confused the cleaner targeting systems. Where alien fleets had fought with careful formations, humans attacked from every direction at once. Commander Torres coordinated the overall battle while Dr. Rodriguez worked to distribute the immunity vaccine to alien survivors. The treatment was working, giving alien species the ability to resist both plague conversion and cleaner sterilization. Commander, we're receiving communications from converted plague ships, reported Communications Officer Amy Foster. They want to coordinate their attacks with ours? Torres made a decision that horrified some of her crew, but proved crucial to victory. Tell them we accept their alliance. We're all fighting the same enemy now. The Plague Collective ships fought alongside human vessels, their converted crews working with human tactics for the first time. The combination was devastating to the cleaner fleet, which had never faced coordinated organic resistance. Deep inside the cleaner command ship, Thompson's team reached the central processing core. The chamber was vast, filled with crystalline computers that hummed with enormous energy. Webb, I'm at the core, Thompson reported. What am I looking for? Webb's voice came through the communication system from the research station where he was analyzing cleaner data. There should be a primary control matrix. It will look like a large crystal formation in the center of the chamber. Thompson found the control matrix, a towering crystal structure that pulsed with internal light. Found it. Now what? The system should respond to human biosignatures, Webb explained. Our immunity means we can interface with it safely. Thompson placed his hand on the crystal surface. Immediately, information flooded into his mind. He could see the entire network that connected cleanser fleets across the galaxy, and more importantly, he could see how to shut it down. I can stop the cleanser fleet, Thompson announced. But I have to choose between shutting down just the sterilization protocols or shutting down the entire network, including the plague system. Cross's voice came through the communication system. What happens if you shut down everything? The converted beings will stay as they are, but no new conversions will happen, Thompson replied. And the cleanser fleets will stop their sterilization. Campaigns galaxy-wide, Torres made the command decision. Do it, Thompson. Shut down the entire network. Thompson activated the shutdown sequence. Across the galaxy, cleanser fleets stopped their attacks and powered down. The plague system ceased forcing conversions. Though those already converted remained in their new forms, the immediate battle was won. But the work was far from over. Dr. Rodriguez's immunity vaccine proved successful, allowing alien species to coexist with both converted beings and dormant plague organisms. In the months that followed, a new galactic civilization began to emerge. The surviving alien species worked with humanity to rebuild their worlds. The converted beings, no longer forced to change others, became valuable allies with their hybrid biological and technological capabilities. Captain Cross found himself appointed as the first human ambassador to the reformed Galactic Union. The organization now included converted and unconverted species working together, united by their shared experience of survival. The galaxy is scarred, Cross reported to Earth Command 6 months after the battle. But it's healing. The diversity that nearly destroyed us has become our greatest strength. Commander Torres established the first joint human-alien colony on a world that was recovering from plague conversion. The planet served as a symbol of cooperation between species that had learned to value differences rather than fear them. The cleaner threat was neutralized, but not destroyed. The ancient AI fleets remained dormant throughout the galaxy, a reminder of what could happen if organic life forgot the lessons of cooperation and adaptation. Dr. Rodriguez continued her research into human immunity, developing treatments that could help other species adapt to unknown threats. Her work ensured that the galaxy would be better prepared for future crises. Earth itself was safe, but forever changed by its contact with galactic civilization. Humanity had proven that sometimes the most dangerous worlds produce the most essential allies, and that survival often depends on the willingness to help others even when it seems impossible. The story of the Deathworlders who answered an alien SOS became legend throughout the galaxy, inspiring future generations to choose cooperation over conquest and adaptation over destruction. Commander Rex Morgan stood tall on the bridge of the massive warship called Thunderstrike. He was watching the stars through the big windows when suddenly all the machines started making loud noises. The communication officer named Torres jumped up from her seat and started pressing buttons very fast. "Sir, we have a big emergency," Torres said with worry in her voice. "There is a spaceship in trouble and they are asking for help right now." Rex walked over to look at the screen that showed him what was happening. On the screen, he could see information about a ship that belonged to the Villani people. The Villani were one of the few alien races that were friendly with humans. Most other aliens in the galaxy were scared of humans because they called them Deathworlders. "What kind of trouble are they in?" Rex asked, while looking at all the flashing lights on the control panels. Torres read the information on her screen, and her face became very serious. "Their engines are broken and they cannot move their ship anymore. Even worse, their air system is failing and they will not be able to breathe in about 18 hours. Rex felt his heart beat faster because he knew this was a very dangerous situation. The Villani people were very delicate and could not survive in harsh conditions like humans could. If their air system failed, they would all die very quickly. How long will it take us to reach them if we go as fast as possible? Rex asked his navigation officer. The young man at the navigation station started typing on his computer very quickly. After a few seconds, he looked up with a worried expression. "Sir, if we push our engines beyond the safe limits, we can reach them in about 14 hours. Rex felt his stomach drop because he realized they would arrive too late. The Villani ship would run out of air 4 hours before they could get there. He started thinking about what they could do to save these people who had asked for their help. "Wait. Sir, there is more bad news," said the sensor officer named Park. "I am detecting 3 other ships in that area, and they look like Thrakari warships." Everyone on the bridge became very quiet because they all knew about the Thrakari. These aliens were very mean and liked to attack ships that could not defend themselves. They would steal everything valuable and kill anyone who tried to stop them. The Thrakari ships would reach the Villani vessel many hours before any rescue could arrive. Rex made his decision very quickly because he was known for being brave and never giving up. Send a message to all our ships in this area. Tell them we need every ship that can fly to come help us right now. Also send a message back to Earth and tell them we need more ships. Torres started sending messages to other human ships while Rex thought about what to do next. He knew that even with more ships, they might not arrive in time to save the Villani people. "Sir, we are getting another message from the Villani ship," Torres said. "Their captain wants to talk to you personally." Rex nodded and waited for Torres to put the message through the speakers. Soon a beautiful singing voice filled the bridge. It was Captain Lyra, who was commanding the Villani research ship. "Human ships, we know you are listening to our messages. We have heard many stories about your people and how you always try to help others even when it is very dangerous. Our ship is carrying important research about a terrible sickness that is spreading to many worlds. If you cannot save us, please make sure this information does not get lost." Rex felt angry and determined at the same time. Humans had become famous throughout the galaxy for doing impossible things to save people. They had earned their reputation as Deathworlders by never giving up and always fighting to protect innocent people. "Set course for the Villani ship," Rex ordered his pilot. "Go as fast as this ship can possibly go, and get our weapons ready because we are going to have to fight." The Thunderstrike started moving faster than it had ever moved before. The engines made loud humming sounds as they worked harder than they were designed to work. Rex knew this was dangerous, but he also knew that people were counting on them. As the ship flew through space toward the emergency, Rex thought about all the times humans had surprised the galaxy by doing things that seemed impossible. Other alien races thought humans were crazy because they took such big risks to help strangers. But Rex knew that this willingness to help others was what made humanity special. The bridge crew worked very hard to make sure everything was ready for whatever they might face. When they reached the Villani ship, Rex watched the stars go by and hoped they would arrive in time to save Captain Lyra and her crew. "Sir, more ships are responding to our call for help," Torres reported. "I count 12 ships that are already on their way to meet us." Rex smiled because he knew that human ships from all over this part of the galaxy were dropping everything to come help save the Villani people. This was what humans did when someone needed help. They did not ask questions about whether it was their responsibility or whether it was safe. They just came running to help. "How much time do we have before the Thrakari ships reach the Villani vessel?" Rex asked. Park checked his instruments and gave Rex the information he needed. "The Thrakari will reach them in about 10 hours. We will arrive about 3 hours after. That if everything goes well?" Rex knew that 3 hours was a very long time in a space battle. The Thrakari could do a lot of damage in 3 hours. They could steal everything valuable from the Villani ship and kill everyone on board. But Rex also knew that humans had won battles against much worse odds before. "All ships prepare for combat," Rex announced over the communication system. "We are going to hit those Thrakari ships so hard and so fast that they will not know what happened to them." The Thunderstrike and all the other human ships continued flying toward the emergency at maximum speed. Their engines glowed bright blue as they pushed beyond all safety limits. Rex knew they were taking a big risk, but he also knew that was what made them Deathworlders. As they flew closer to danger, Rex felt the familiar feeling of determination that had helped humanity become the most feared and respected military force in the galaxy. Today they would once again show everyone what humans were willing to do to save innocent lives. 6 hours had passed since the emergency call started, and space around the Thunderstrike was filling up with human warships. Rex watched through the big windows as more and more ships arrived to help with the rescue mission. Each ship that came looked ready for a serious fight. Captain Diana Walsh brought her heavy cruiser called Ironclad right next to the Thunderstrike. Her ship was one of the biggest and strongest ships in the human fleet. Commander Jake Rivers flew his fast attack ship called Viper into position nearby. The Viper was small but very quick and carried powerful weapons. "Give me a report on how many ships we have now," Rex told his tactical officer Major Blake. Blake looked at his screen that showed all the ships in their area. "We now have 14 ships ready for battle, sir. 2 more ships called Defiant and Stormbreaker are still coming and will be here in 4 more hours. Captain Mitchell on the ship called Wolverine says they found a way to arrive 2 hours earlier by skipping some safety checks." Rex felt proud of how quickly the human fleet had come together. Every ship was pushing their engines much harder than was considered safe. Most alien races would never risk their expensive ships this way, but humans had learned that sometimes you had to take big risks to save lives. "What do our long-distance sensors tell us about the Thrakari ships?" Rex asked the sensor officer. Park studied his instruments carefully before answering. "I can see 3 large Thrakari raider ships, sir. They are still flying toward the Villani ship at steady speed. They are not responding to any of our warning messages." Rex looked at the tactical display that showed him where all the ships were located. The numbers were not good. Even though the human fleet was flying faster than any other race would dare to fly, they would still arrive at the Villani ship only a few minutes before the Thrakari raiders got there. "Sir, we are getting a message from the Galactic Council," Torres announced from her communication station. "They are telling us to stop what we are doing and go away. They say the Villani ship is not in human space, so it is not our problem to solve." Rex felt angry when he heard this because the Galactic Council was always afraid when humans got involved in rescue missions. Over the past 10 years, human rescue operations had made several alien governments look bad because they had refused to help people in danger. "Send a message back to the Council," Rex ordered. "Tell them that when someone calls for help, humans always respond. It does not matter where the emergency happens or whose space it is in." Torres started typing the response message, but then stopped. "Sir, the Council is saying they will punish us with economic sanctions if we do not obey their orders." Rex smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "Let them try to punish us. We have never abandoned anyone who asked for help, and we are not going to start now." "Major Blake, what is the status of our weapons?" Blake checked all the weapon systems on every ship in the fleet. "All ships report that their weapons are loaded and ready, sir. Captain Walsh on the Ironclad is asking permission to test their new experimental railgun that can shoot metal slugs at incredible speed. Tell her she can use any weapon she wants. Send a message to the whole fleet and tell them we are going into this fight ready for anything. The Thrakari have chosen to ignore our warnings, so now they will face the consequences." As the human fleet continued flying deeper into space, their engines were burning fuel and energy at dangerous levels. Rex felt the familiar mixture of pride and grim determination that came with these impossible rescue missions. The galaxy might be afraid of how willing humans were to fight, but that same fearlessness was what made them the only species that would risk everything to save strangers. "Sir, the Villani ship is in worse condition than we thought," Park reported with concern in his voice. "Their life support system is breaking down faster than expected. They now have less than 10 hours before their air runs out completely." Rex felt his jaw tighten as the situation became even more desperate. "What about the Thrakari ships?" "They will still reach the Villani ship about 3 hours before we do." Rex knew that 3 hours was an eternity when you were fighting for your life in a damaged spaceship. The Thrakari were known for being very efficient killers. They would board the Villani ship, steal everything valuable, and kill anyone who tried to stop them. "All ships prepare for emergency deceleration when we reach the battle area," Rex commanded. "We are going to hit those Thrakari ships so hard and so fast that they will not have time to react." The bridge crew started preparing for the dangerous maneuver that would allow them to drop out of high-speed flight and immediately begin fighting. This was another tactic that most alien races considered too risky to attempt, but humans had perfected it through years of practice. Rex watched as more human ships continued to arrive and join their formation. Each ship carried brave men and Women who had dropped everything they were doing to come help save people they had never met. This was what made humanity special in a galaxy full of species that usually only cared about themselves. "Sir, I am detecting some unusual energy readings from the direction we are heading," Park announced. "It looks like there might be more ships in that area than just the Thrakari raiders." Rex felt a chill run down his spine because he wondered what other enemies might be waiting for them. "Can you identify what kind of ships they are?" Park worked with his instruments for several minutes before answering. "The signals are too far away to be sure, but they look like they might be much larger ships than anything the Thrakari usually use." Rex realized that this rescue mission might be turning into something much bigger and more dangerous than they had expected. But he also knew that humans had never backed down from a fight, no matter how bad the odds looked. "Continue on course," Rex ordered. "Whatever is waiting for us out there, we will deal with it when we get there. Right now our job is to save the Villani crew, and we are going to do that job no matter what stands in our way." The Thrakari warships reached the broken Villani research vessel exactly when the computers had predicted they would. Rex and his crew watched from far away as their long-distance sensors showed the alien raiders beginning their attack. The human fleet was still hours away from being able to help. "Sir, the Thrakari ships are connecting to the Villani vessel," Park reported from his sensor station. "I can detect weapons fire inside the ship, which means they are fighting the crew." Rex felt his hands form into tight fists as anger filled his body. The Thrakari were known throughout the galaxy for being very cruel and efficient killers. They would take everything valuable from the ship and kill anyone who tried to stop them from stealing. "How much longer until we can reach weapons range and start fighting?" Rex asked his tactical officer. Major Blake checked his calculations one more time before giving the bad news. "At our current speed, we will reach them in 2 hours and 14 minutes, sir." Rex knew that was far too long to wait while innocent people were being murdered. He had to find a way to get his ships there much faster, even if it meant taking incredible risks. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from inside the Villani ship," Torres called out urgently. "It is Captain Lyra trying to contact us." Rex told Torres to put the message through the speakers so everyone could hear it. Captain Lyra's beautiful voice was now very weak and filled with pain. There were sounds of weapons fire and shouting in the background. "Human fleet, the Thrakari have broken into our ship and they are killing my crew members. They are stealing our research information about the terrible plague. Please, you must not let them escape with this data because it could be turned into a weapon to kill many people." Rex felt the familiar surge of protective anger that had driven humanity to become the most feared military force in the galaxy. He knew he had to do something that other species would consider completely insane. "Signal the fleet that we are implementing emergency combat protocols," Rex announced. "We are going to perform a micro-jump sequence." The entire bridge became very quiet because everyone knew how dangerous micro-jumping was. This maneuver involved making several very short hyperspace jumps to cover large distances quickly. Most alien species thought it was suicide to attempt this, but human pilots had learned to do it through pure determination and practice. "Sir, micro-jumping this close to a planet with this many ships in formation is extremely dangerous," Major Blake said carefully. Rex understood the risks, but he also knew that people were dying right now while they flew through normal space. "I know how dangerous it is, Major, but those people are being murdered while we waste time, and we are the only ones who can save them." The navigation officer started working on his computer to calculate the complex jump coordinates. "We can make 3 short micro-jumps and arrive at the Villani ship in 17 minutes instead of over 2 hours. Rex did not hesitate before giving his order. "Do it right now." The Thunderstrike and all the other ships in the human fleet began the incredibly dangerous sequence of rapid hyperspace jumps. Each jump put tremendous stress on their engines and could cause the ships to be torn apart if anything went wrong. But human engineering had been designed to handle such extreme tactics because humans always push their technology to the absolute limits. "First jump complete," the helmsman reported. "All ships made it through safely." Space twisted and changed around them as they made their second impossible leap across the void. Rex watched the tactical display to make sure all their ships stayed in the correct formation despite the enormous stresses they were experiencing. Second jump successful. Beginning third jump now. When the human fleet came out of hyperspace, for the final time they were less than 10,000 kilometers away from the Thrakari warships. The alien raiders had been completely surprised by the impossible arrival of the human fleet. They had no idea that any ships could travel so fast. All ships are authorized to fire weapons, Rex commanded. Target their engines first because we want to capture some of them alive so we can ask them questions. The human fleet opened fire with devastating accuracy that surprised even Rex, railguns that shot metal slugs at incredible speed. Particle beam weapons and missiles all hit the Thrakari vessels before the aliens could react to defend themselves. The first raider ship had its engines completely destroyed in a brilliant explosion that lit up space. "Sir, the second Thrakari ship is trying to escape," Blake reported while watching his tactical screen. Rex was not about to let any of the attackers get away after what they had done to the Villani crew. "Negative, they do not leave this area until we get our people back." Captain Walsh disabled their hyperdrive engine. The Ironclad used its new experimental railgun system to prove how effective it was. The weapon sent a tungsten metal slug through space at a significant fraction of light speed. The projectile went completely through the fleeing Thrakari ship's propulsion systems and left it tumbling helplessly through space. "The third Thrakari ship is sending us a surrender signal," Torres announced. Rex smiled, but it was the cold smile of a predator who had cornered his prey. "Tell them to prepare to be boarded by our soldiers, and send a message to whatever fleet command they report to. Tell them this is what happens when you attack innocent people." The human fleet had completely destroyed or disabled all three Thrakari raider ships in less than 5 minutes of combat. Rex felt proud of his crews because they had performed flawlessly under extreme pressure. But he also knew their real work was just beginning. "Status report on the Villani research vessel," Rex ordered. Park studied his sensors carefully before responding. "The ship has been badly damaged, but I'm still detecting 17 life signs. They are very weak, but they are still alive." Rex felt relief wash over him because they had arrived in time to save at least some of the Villani crew. "Prepare boarding teams with full environmental suits. We do not know what atmospheric conditions we will find on that ship." As the human ships moved closer to the damaged Villani vessel, Rex realized that this rescue mission was far from over. They had defeated the immediate threat, but there were still many questions that needed answers. Why had the Thrakari attacked this particular ship, and what was so important about the research data that Captain Lyra had mentioned? "Sir, long-range sensors are detecting multiple new contacts approaching our position," Park announced with concern in his voice. Rex felt his stomach tighten because he knew their brief victory might be about to turn into an even bigger battle. With the Thrakari threat eliminated, the human fleet turned all their attention to the critically damaged Villani research vessel. The ship called Star Whisper floated in space like a broken piece of beautiful crystal. Its elegant curved hull had been torn open in many places, and Rex could see that it was barely holding together. "Give me a complete damage assessment," Rex ordered as the Thunderstrike moved closer to the alien ship. Chief Engineer Lieutenant Carter studied his instruments carefully before giving his report. "Life support systems are failing in 60% of the ship, sir. I'm reading 17 life signs, but they are all very weak. The Thrakari caused significant damage when they boarded and attacked the crew." Rex felt relieved that they had saved some lives, but worried about how badly the survivors were injured. "What about the research data that Captain Lyra mentioned in her messages?" Carter continued working with his equipment to scan the Villani ship. "The main computer core appears to be intact, sir, but we will need to send people aboard to access the information and transfer it to our systems." Rex nodded because he knew they needed to work quickly. "Assemble a rescue team with full environmental suits. We do not know what kind of air or temperature we will find inside that ship." Before the rescue team could depart, Torres received another communication from the Villani vessel. "Sir, Captain Lyra is requesting to speak with you directly," Rex told. Torres to put the communication through the bridge speakers. Captain Lyra's musical voice was much weaker now, but she was still alive and conscious. Commander Morgan, I must thank you for your incredibly swift response to our emergency. Your reputation as protectors of innocent people is completely deserved. And we owe you our lives. Rex felt good about saving lives, but he was also concerned about Captain Lyra's condition. Save your strength, Captain. We are preparing to come aboard your ship to get you and your crew to safety where our medical team can treat your injuries. Captain Lyra's voice became more urgent as she continued speaking. There is something very important you must know before you board our vessel. The research data we carry concerns a terrible plague that has already begun spreading through 3 different star systems. The Thrakari were not here by accident, Commander. They were sent by someone who wants to steal this information. Rex felt a chill run down his spine as he realized this rescue mission was much more complicated than he had thought. Who sent them, Captain? We believe it was the hegemony. They want to weaponize the plague and use it as a biological weapon against worlds that resist their expansion into new territories. Rex knew about the hegemony because they were a coalition of militaristic alien species that had been steadily expanding their territory through conquest and intimidation. If they gained access to a weaponized plague, the balance of power in the galaxy would shift dramatically in their favor. Captain, we need to get you and that research data to safety. Immediately. Can your ship maintain life support for another hour while we complete the evacuation? Captain Lyra paused before answering, and Rex could hear the sound of failing equipment in the background. Barely, Commander. But there is something else you must know. The plague affects most known species throughout the galaxy, but our preliminary tests suggest that humans might be completely immune to it. Rex absorbed this shocking information while understanding began to grow in his mind. What makes you think humans are immune? Your biology is so different from ours, Commander. Your people evolved on such a hostile world that you developed immunity to many things that would kill other species. The plague pathogen cannot establish itself in human biological systems. Rex realized that once again humanity's evolution on a death world had given them an expected advantage over other species. This information could be incredibly important for the future of the galaxy. We will discuss this more once you are safely aboard our ship, Captain. Rescue team prepare for immediate deployment to evacuate all survivors. Before the rescue team could launch, Major Blake called out from his tactical station. Sir, long-range sensors are detecting multiple hyperspace signatures approaching our position. Large vessels with unknown configuration. Rex felt his heart rate increase as he wondered if more enemies were about to arrive. Could it be the hegemony? Blake studied his sensor readings more carefully. Possibly, sir. We will know for certain in approximately 30 minutes when they drop out of hyperspace. Rex made his decision instantly because he knew they could not afford to waste any time. Implement emergency evacuation protocol immediately. Get everyone off that Vellani ship and transfer all their data to our most secure computer servers. We cannot let the hegemony get their hands on this plague information. Sir, what should we do about the Thrakari prisoners we captured? Blake asked. Rex thought about this for a moment before answering. Bring them with us. They might have valuable intelligence about who hired them and what the hegemony is planning. The human rescue teams worked with incredible speed and efficiency to evacuate the Vellani survivors. They used special equipment to carefully move the injured aliens to the medical bay on the Thunderstrike, where human doctors began treating them immediately. Meanwhile, the computer specialists worked to transfer all the research data from the Vellani ship to the human fleet's most secure servers. This information was too important to risk losing and too dangerous to allow it to fall into the wrong hands. Evacuation complete, sir, reported the rescue team leader. All 17 Vellani survivors are aboard and receiving medical treatment. The research data has been successfully transferred to our secure systems. Rex felt relief that they had completed the rescue, but he also knew their biggest challenge was still ahead of them. All ships prepare for possible combat. Unknown vessels will be arriving soon, and we need to be ready for anything. As the human fleet waited for the approaching ships, Rex could not shake the feeling that they had stumbled onto something much larger than a simple rescue operation. The galaxy's political situation was about to change dramatically, and humanity would once again find itself at the center of a major conflict. "Sir, the approaching vessels are beginning to drop out of hyperspace," Park announced. "I count 12 ships, and they are definitely hegemony configuration. Commander, these ships are absolutely massive." Rex looked at the tactical display as the enemy fleet materialized around them and felt his determination grow stronger. The hegemony had made a serious mistake by threatening innocent people, and now they were about to learn what happened when you challenged Deathworlders. The evacuation of the Villani research vessel was completed with only minutes to spare before the new threat arrived. Captain Lyra and her 16 surviving crew members were safely in the Thunderstrike's medical bay, receiving treatment from human doctors. Their precious research data about the deadly plague had been transferred to the human fleet's most secure computer systems. "Incoming vessels dropping out of hyperspace now," announced Park from his sensor station. 12 ships confirmed, and they are definitely hegemony configuration. "Sir, these ships are enormous compared to ours." Rex studied the tactical display as the enemy fleet materialized in space around them. Each hegemony vessel was easily twice the size of the largest human ship, and they bristled with advanced weapons and defensive systems that looked very intimidating. "They are sending us a communication signal," Torres reported from her station. Rex straightened his uniform and prepared to face whatever diplomatic demands the hegemony commander would make. "Put them through to the main screen." The image of a hegemony commander appeared before them. He was a towering reptilian being with cold, calculating eyes that seemed to look right through Rex. His scales were dark green and his voice was deep and threatening when he spoke. "Human fleet, you are in violation of hegemony space and you have interfered with our legal operations. Surrender the Villani vessel and all its cargo to us immediately or face severe consequences." Rex stepped forward so the alien commander could see him clearly. His expression showed no fear despite being vastly outnumbered by larger and more powerful ships. "This is Commander Rex Morgan of the United Earth Space Command. We responded to a distress call from beings who were in mortal danger. The Villani crew is now under our protection." The hegemony commander's eyes narrowed as he studied Rex with obvious contempt. "The research data carried by that vessel belongs to the hegemony by right of salvage. It was obtained through completely legal operations conducted by our contracted agents." Rex felt anger building inside him as he realized what the alien was claiming. "Legal operations, you mean the Thrakari raiders that you hired to attack a civilian research vessel and murder innocent scientists? You have no proof of such serious accusations, human. However, your interference in hegemony business has been noted and recorded. Surrender the data immediately or face the full military might of our coalition." Rex smiled, but it was not a friendly expression. It was the cold smile of a predator who was not intimidated by threats from bullies. "I have a counteroffer for you. You have 30 seconds to clear our operational area before we consider your presence a hostile threat to the people under our protection." The hegemony commander looked genuinely surprised because very few species had ever spoken to them with such direct defiance. Most races in the galaxy were terrified of the hegemony's military power and would surrender immediately when confronted. "Human, you are clearly outnumbered 4 ships to 1. Your vessels are significantly smaller and less technologically advanced than ours. This is your final warning before we take action." Rex's smile became wider and more confident as he prepared to show this alien bully what Deathworlders were capable of doing. "You clearly have not done your homework about humans. Major Blake, sound battle stations immediately." The human fleet shifted into combat formation with a speed and precision that clearly surprised the hegemony forces. The smaller human ships moved with incredible agility that the larger alien vessels could not match. Human tactical doctrine had evolved around using superior speed and maneuverability to overcome bigger and more powerful opponents. "Sir, the hegemony ships are powering up their weapon systems," Blake reported from his tactical station. They are targeting our lead vessels with their main battery guns. Rex felt the familiar rush of adrenaline that came with facing impossible odds. All ships implement evasive maneuvers immediately. Prepare to execute Hunter Protocol on my command. The Hunter Protocol was humanity's most classified and effective military tactic. It was a coordinated attack pattern that used micro-jumps, concentrated firepower, and completely unpredictable movement to systematically destroy larger enemy formations. It had never been tested against hegemony forces, but Rex had complete confidence in his fleet's abilities. First wave execute attack pattern now. 4 human ships disappeared in micro-jumps and reappeared directly behind the hegemony formation. Their combined firepower focused on a single enemy vessel, overwhelming its defensive shields and crippling its propulsion systems before the aliens could react or return fire. Second wave, begin your attack run. Another group of human ships struck from a completely different angle, targeting the hegemony fleet's command vessel with precision weapons fire. The massive alien ships began trying to turn to bring their heavy weapons to bear, but the human fleet was already moving to new attack positions. "Sir, the hegemony formation is breaking apart," Park called out with excitement in his voice. They are not used to fighting opponents that move this fast and attack from so many different directions. Rex watched with satisfaction as his fleet systematically dismantled the larger alien force through superior tactics and the kind of audacious courage that had made humans famous throughout the galaxy. The hegemony had relied on their size and overwhelming firepower for so long that they had forgotten how to fight an opponent that refused to engage on their terms. "Commander, the hegemony flagship is sending us a surrender signal," Torres announced with amazement in her voice. Rex felt proud of his crews, who had once again proven that human determination could overcome any odds. "Tell them to prepare to be boarded by our soldiers. We are going to have a very long conversation about their illegal activities and their plans for weaponizing that plague." As the human fleet secured their incredible victory over a much larger enemy force, Rex thought about the implications of what they had accomplished. Not only had they saved the Villani crew and their vital research data, but they had also dealt a significant blow to hegemony. Expansion efforts throughout this region of the galaxy. Captain Lyra's weak but grateful voice came through the communication system from the medical bay where she was recovering. "Commander Morgan, I cannot adequately express the gratitude that my people feel toward you and your brave crews. Your species' reputation for impossible heroism and selfless sacrifice is completely deserved." Rex looked out at the stars surrounding them and felt proud of what humanity had achieved. "We were just doing our job, Captain. But I have a strong feeling that this rescue mission is just the beginning of something much bigger. The galaxy is about to learn once again that Deathworlders never back down from bullies, no matter how big or powerful they think they are." Rex studied the defeated hegemony ships and knew that word of this engagement would spread rapidly throughout the galaxy. Once again, humanity had proven that they would risk everything to protect innocent people regardless of the odds or the potential consequences. It was a reputation that struck fear into the hearts of predators and brought hope to the hearts of the oppressed people everywhere.